Hi, my name is Marianne Simon, and I am your G3 instructor for this final step before you become a certified watershed-wise landscape professional. And that is to complete a site evaluation practicum. Let me share my screen here. Now, this is actually a pretty simple exercise. There's a drawing you need to do and a worksheet that you need to complete. So it may be that you don't need this video, but I must say, given the number of evaluations that I've gotten back and have had to correct and return, Pamela and I thought it would be a great idea to create this. And then that way, if you have any questions about it, you just need to open it up. So what you're going to get is you are going to get a very simple site plan to work from. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to work with one of your clients. You don't need to do your backyard. It's a very simple drawing with basic information to have you do this site evaluation. So basically there's a house and then there's a front yard, and we've got two different zones in the front yard. This drawing should include all of the information that you need in order to complete the worksheet and to go ahead and create a rain garden for us. So you can see that there's square footage on the roof. You can identify the different types of irrigation nozzles in the front yard. The irrigation efficiency rate is there, and it's not to scale. So it really is just as a reference point, and then you can see where those downspouts are. And the other thing that that is included is a chart for the irrigation. So it gives you the gallons per minute based on the different nozzle patterns. And you will need those numbers in order to complete the worksheet. And then remember that the rate that you want to pull is based on the pressure, the PSI. All right, so here's the worksheet. Again, super simple. Please return it to us in Excel so that if there are errors, I can see what was done as far as the calculations. But the first section is general information, and that is your information. So it's where you live or where you work, as far as the watershed, the ETO, the rainfall, that will also be your local climate. Now, when you move into the rest of the worksheet, that is when you will start referring to the drawings. So we'll go ahead and start with the hydrozones, the information that you're pulling. Again, the data that you need in order to do that is all on that drawing. The only thing I'm pointing out is that for the plant factor, make sure that you indicate that either as a decimal point or as a percentage, because that will affect your calculations. Next up is taking a look at the irrigation. Again, you're doing the irrigation for zone 1 and the irrigation for zone 2 using that chart that we provided. There's the formula down at the bottom in order to remind you, if you need it, how you get to that total gallons per minute for each zone. And then in that comment box, go ahead and make up any recommendations. We don't give you that information, but based on what we do, and you can just make things up as far as what your experiences have been with irrigation, to go ahead and just include some suggestions for your hypothetical client. Then we move into the water budget. You've got your MAWA, which is your maximum applied water allowed, and then how that provides your water budget, and then how do you design your landscape so that you stay under that budget. What I wanted to point out on this page is that we use 40% as our adjustment factor. Now, that may vary depending on where you live and what the conditions are there. But for, again, the sake of this exercise, please go ahead and use that 40%. The ETW stands for estimated total water used. And then the other thing, again, super important, is to do the calculations as they are indicated. Don't add any extra parentheses or change the sequence of them, because once you start doing that, you are potentially changing that end result. So long as you literally put in a number, multiply, put in a number, divide, you will come up with the correct answer. And then, of course, well, I shouldn't say of course. So let me back up a moment. So the MAWA is the budget that we're working with, that we want you to calculate for us. And then we want you to give us what the existing water use is. So the existing is based on the drawing. The second portion of this is you are going to redesign it in order to come up with a lower budget number. But that existing is going to be based on the drawing. So then you're going to tell us what changes you are going to make to the existing conditions in order to bring those numbers beneath the budgeted amount. One more time, it seems like common sense, but you would be surprised. Make sure that when you have redesigned your garden and you have changed the different parameters, that total number that you come up with is lower than the budget. Like I said, I've seen it come back. They've redesigned it and the number is higher. And then it's a great sort of catch-all question. What other things would you recommend as far as whether it's the soil or the plants or what have you, that would improve the health of the overall garden? And then the last section that we're going to ask you about is there's two components to this one. There's the worksheet, and then there's actually a very simple drawing that you're going to do, and that is on rainwater capture. So in this case, the annual rainfall is going to be based on your local conditions. And what we're designing for is the first flush, that first inch. And sometimes there's a little bit of confusion between folks coming up with the first flush, and then there's the annual. The number that you were going to be designing for, that your rain gardens are going to be designed for, is the first flush amount. So it's just that first inch. And then we will want you to do a rain garden for each side, for each zone gets a rain garden. What I'd like you to do is you're going to go ahead and do a design on the template that you're going to see in just a moment. But on this worksheet, I do want you to include what the total surface area of that basin is and what the depth is going to be. And it can be anything that you want, so long as it makes sense and it's based on the cubic feet of catchment. So here is the plan that you are going to be designing on. We've basically taken out everything except for those two areas that you will be drawing on. It's a super simple landscape plan. You don't need to color it. You don't need to add any more plants. You don't need to give me boulders. All I care about is where the basin's going, where the berms are going. Are you considering setbacks? And does it look like you're designing for just 1 inch? Like I've said, I've gotten monster rain gardens because they thought they were designing for an entire year of rainwater capture. And then please label it so that it is clear what is the basin and what is the berm or the mound. And then also, if you would just indicate how the water is flowing from the downspout to the basin. So don't just put something in the middle of the yard and leave me to guess how that is happening. So that is pretty much it in a nutshell. It has been a pleasure to be with you on this ride. If you have any questions, just pop us an email. And we look forward to adding you to our roster of watershed-wise landscape professionals. Have a great day.